Hi, and welcome to this edition of Ask Bahar. I'm Bahar Saadat, and joining me today is Erez Bahar, one of the partners at Davidson and Company. Hi, Erez, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bahar. It's great to be here.
Erez, one of the questions from our viewing audience is, what are deferred exploration costs?
So deferred exploration costs, Bahar, are effectively costs that a company incurs, say, on a mineral property that are directly related to that property. So costs such as drilling, assaying, sampling, or consulting fees that are attributed to the property form part of that pool called deferred exploration costs.
Okay, now what about administrative costs?
So if it's administration costs that you can directly attribute to the property, you could include it in that pool. But if it's corporate administration, then you would not.
Okay. Now, under IFRS, I know there's a choice between capitalizing the costs to the balance sheet or expensing them to the statement of operations. Could you go into more detail about that, please?
Yeah, so you've got an option. You know, us accountants, we like to give companies options. And part of that reason is because there's different industries and different styles. So you have the option to capitalize it or expense it. If you capitalize it, it means you're putting it as an asset. Some companies like that because they feel it enhances the asset value of the company, while others prefer to expense it because it gives a better representation of the type of costs that are being incurred. And furthermore, you don't have to deal with such issues as impairment. So it is a choice. And either way, those costs are being disclosed in the financial statements. It's just up to you.
Okay, now you've mentioned impairment, but when you're dealing with a junior mining company that doesn't have proven results, or they're non-production, how do you determine that?
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the most common hurdles that we encounter when we audit public companies in the junior mining sector because they don't have proven and probable reserves typically. So there's a number of factors that management and the auditors look at. Management, for example, reviews whether or not they've got enough money to finish the project. Do you have enough money to carry out your exploration programs? Another factor is political stability. If you're in a jurisdiction where there is political instability, do you have proper access to the sites? Do you have the good standing for your titles and licenses and so on? And then thirdly, which is just as important as the first two factors, is what's management's intention? Are you intending to carry out work on the program? Are you looking to complete it? Or are you looking to sell it, abandon? What are you looking to do with the property?
All these factors seem very subjective.
Yeah.
How do you come to terms with this and determine this in an audit, for example?
Yeah, so you as manager, you need to come up with your reasoning as to why you think there is or there isn't an impairment. And my job as the auditor is really to look at what your subjective or qualitative factors are and say, is that reasonable? And then once we agree as two reasonable parties, then we're both comfortable with the situation. So it's a compromise effectively.
Okay, so as management, I come up with it and you determine whether or not it's reasonable.
Yeah,
right?
That's kind of effectively what it is. And there's some judgment involved, but that's what it entails. You change your dress.
Huh, thanks for noticing.
Yeah, looks good.
Anyways, that's all the time we have on this edition of Ask Bahar today. Any audit and accounting questions can be forwarded to askbahar@davidson-co.com. I'm Bahar Saadat, and Erez Bahar, thank you so much for your time today. Erez, we've had a couple smaller, not as in-depth questions from our studio audience. For example, what is debt equity? Maybe you could summarize that for us.
Debt equity.
Investment equity, same Get over it.